Hi and welcome back to the channel. My name is Stanley Helensky and the channel is Stanley of the Seas. Today I'm doing a tour of Royal Caribbean's Quantum class ship Anthem of the Seas. She is a beautiful ship, and whether you're considering booking a cruise aboard Anthem, have an upcoming trip, or just trying to get a look at an absolutely beautiful cruise ship, I hope you enjoy this video. Anthem was built in 2013 and commissioned in 2015. It has some very modern amenities, but has no refurbishments as of yet. When you embark, you will enter Anthem in the Royal Esplanade on Deck 4, which is usually called the Royal Promenade in other Royal ships. The Royal Esplanade is the heart of the ship. In true 2015 style, it's bathed in a maple-colored wood with beautiful white tile floors. It has these floor-to-ceiling gorgeous red drapes and contrasting walnut wood as accents. The look is quite stoic in this two-floor space with lined stairways, wood-colored columns with gold accents, and lots of light marble or travertine on the walls. The ceiling is a series of false windows that appear to look into daylight and that bring plenty of light into the space. As you'll see, these light panels are capable of changing color and will change color throughout the day and night. In the Esplanade, you'll find Anthem's shopping venues like Regalia Watches, a duty-free store, clothing stores, beach stores, a rather large jewelry store, a store to buy Royal Caribbean merchandise, and others. You'll also find a number of bars and pubs, the Starbucks, the pizza shop, Sorrento's, and is the venue that hosts a number of events during the cruise. This is where you'll find guest services, a number of kiosks to book excursions if you didn't do that pre-cruise, and a place where you may view and purchase your cruise photos. Also, most of the cruise photos that are taken on Royal for purchase during the cruise will be set up in the Royal Esplanade. The Esplanade has a very classy feel to it. Inside the Esplanade, you'll also find the Promenade Cafe, which is a place on Royal Caribbean ships to get coffee, tea, pastries, and sandwiches, light food included in your fare. If you buy a soda package, you'll receive a plastic reusable cup when you get on the ship. Pick that up at guest services or on the Esplanade when you get on board. With that cup, you'll be able to use one of the self-service machines, two of which are found at Sorrento's Pizza on the Esplanade. There are two in Sorrento's and more up in the Windjammer Buffet. We were sailing on Anthem's birthday, apparently, so at the end of the cruise, the crew threw this party where they played all sorts of music, gave speeches, and had filled up this massive stocking of balloons to be dropped on the very large crowd below. It's really fun, very well done. Other than the promenade, one of the really unique things of Anthem is, and other Quantum class ships, is a place called 270. It stands for 270 degrees, which is the degree of windows in this massive space consisting of two stories at the back of the ship. This was the place where Anthem held many of their special events like bingo game shows and most of the primary guest shows on board. The feel of the place is very modern with these two-story floor ceiling windows, a bar, modern comfortable seating that made it feel like a fancy club. This space is absolutely incredible. In addition to the sheer size of it, the venue is fitted with these four incredible robotic screens that move around in every direction and are used as part of the shows that are held there. At night, the windows are covered, and there are all sorts of projections that are made against the window that, again, really increase the wow factor of the shows held there. Not a lot of other ships in the Royal Fleet have this type of venue on board. Right outside of 270, you'll also find another cafe, bistro, where you can get salads, sandwiches, breakfast sandwiches, bagels, pastries, juices, tea, and coffee. All food there is included in the cruise fare. There's nothing in the 270 cafe that is an upsell. It's all included. Off of the Esplanade is also an art room where original artworks are displayed. Besides that, there are all kinds of absolutely beautiful art pieces littered throughout the ship. Royal usually has one centerpiece on each ship. On this ship, it was a big horn-looking thing that was between the Esplanade and 270. As you walk from the Esplanade to 270, you'll also find a specialty restaurant called Jimmy's Italian. If you like Italian food, this place is a must. The ship itself is very classy. The rugs are a little dated on the ship, but the elevators were these beautiful glass elevators overlooking a common central area. They were all decorated in gold and crystal with black marble accents. The center of the elevators were wide open and would span like 10 floors. There was even a spot where you could stand and see through the floor all the way down to the Esplanade, which was pretty terrifying if you stand there. Royal also puts the day of the week in the elevators, as done in other Royal ships. They're changed apparently exactly at midnight. We thought this was really neat. There are 2 elevator banks on the ships, and in most central areas of the ship, there are monitors that tell you events that are happening, the all aboard time reports, and other useful information. There was plenty of directional signage on the ship. Getting lost would not be easy to do. On the second floor of the Esplanade, there was this fun chandelier thing, where if you place your hands on the stand just below, the chandelier will flash to the beat of your heart. I thought that was pretty cool too. Another really popular attraction is also off the Esplanade, and it's called the Bionic Bar. If you have a drink package, the drinks are included in that. It's a little gimmicky, but there are actual robots that make your drink for you. No people, except for the ones who come to fix it when it breaks down, which is pretty frequently. Kids may use it too to get a soda or Shirley Temples. If you don't have a drink package, then you may charge it to your room. There are iPads that are stationed all around the area. You scan your C-Pass and select on the iPad how many parts of each type of drink you want in your drink order it, and then watch the monitor that tells you when the robot is making your drink. It will slide the drink down when it's ready, and you just scan your C-Pass to pick it up. It's really pretty neat to watch. That place is almost always packed.
Add some mixers, which would be Sprites. More. And some mixers. Grenadine. More. And I think
more till it gets all the way up.
there we go. Add to cart. Stanley's drink. And check out.
$0.
And there it goes.
You excited?
4%. Watch it is really fun and cool. Like now he's gonna shake it. Still pretty darn cool.
Another place off the Esplanade on many royal ships is called the Schooner Bar. The Schooner Bar is a place that has a lot of trivia games, and there's a specialty drink bar. It's sort of an old salty type of saloon with a definite seafaring vibe to it, with a piano player at night. Unless they're out of ingredients, they can make a PB&J old fashioned for you, peanut butter and jelly old fashioned for you. I've tried one, it's actually pretty good. Another place is called Belleros, and that is the Spanish influence bar where you'll definitely see people dancing until late at night. They'll have bands playing with trumpets and other instruments that are mostly Spanish in nature. They hold a lot of trivia in this place too. You'll definitely see people dancing in this place. The next stop, which is also right around the corner from the Esplanade, is the music hall. Other royal ships also have a music hall. In the music hall, you'll find live bands, trivia, game shows, all sorts of different events. The music hall is kind of the dance club on the ship. It has a definite clubby vibe with sort of 70s or 80s type of look in this pretty big place with 2 floors and a staircase. It can get very loud at night, and there are definitely people dancing. I also believe that this is where they do the silent disco. And finally, there's one of my favorite places, and that is the Brass and Bach Pub, which is a traditional English style pub with awesome live music at night, consisting of usually just a guitar player who plays all sorts of 90s and 2000s style music. It's a really charming pub with a dark walnut wood finishing, high tables, and lots of draft beer and televisions. A huge feature on Royal Caribbean ships are the shows. The Royal Theatre is a massive venue featuring comedy acts, singers, and of course the off-Broadway performances that are first class. The talent in these shows is really second to none. Anthem's show is a performance called We Will Rock You, which was a really well-done production of Freddie Mercury and Queen. There are no words for the singing in the show. It was just amazing. There's an actual live band that does the music, and what was really cool about this show was that there were 2 guitar players who were put on a platform and displayed to the audience along with the actors and dancers. As with all shows, you should really try to get a reservation. If you don't have a reservation, you can still go. Just show up about a half hour early and wait in line until they open up to the people who don't have reservations. There's plenty of seats. I don't think anyone has ever turned away.
So there was, of course, an entire storyline that would go along with all of this amazing singing. I would certainly play the entire show for you if I could. So the storyline was essentially that this main character in this futuristic world had the idea of music and singing in a world that had long since lost the notion of music. He was kind of coming out in a way with all kinds of resistance from the leaders in that time. In a minute, I'm going to show you some clips from other shows that were playing in Royal Theatre, such as a singer and a comedian. Every performer and performance drew a large crowd. There was also bar service from your seat with waitstaff.
There was another show in the Royal Theatre called The Gift, which I didn't like at all. It didn't have a very cogent storyline. It actually had to stop several times due to some technical difficulties of some sort, which meant that you just sat and waited with the house lights on. I actually left that one early and never went back to see the end. The set and the performance was very good. It just wasn't what I liked.
I should try one more time. Good evening. Still got it, Lindemann. Still got it. I have good news and I have bad news. The good news is, it is all new material. The bad news is, all the good stuff was in the first show.
There's so much to do on the ship. If you don't like something, just move along and find something else that you enjoy because it's there. There's no point sitting through something when you're not enjoying it because there are so many other places on the ship. I can't really do an in-depth look at everything on the ship because it's massive and this video would be over 2 hours long. The ship has a really good sized casino. That's not really our thing, so we didn't really go, but we did check it out and it was really big. It had tons and tons of slot machines, poker tables, blackjack, you name it. They do allow smoking in the casino, so that may be good or bad for you. I know our dinner mates told us that there was someone smoking beside them playing blackjack for most of the night, so that is what it is. I'm deliberately not talking about our room in this video as I'm going to do a separate video walkthrough of our room. Anthem also has the Vitality Spa, which is just what it sounds like. The Vitality Spa is pretty much all additional cost. But if that's your thing, then this place has so many options, from hot beds to saunas, facials, a hair salon, so much more. You can really spend hours just relaxing in the sauna after getting a hot stone massage. There's also an enormous gym on board that is all included in your fare. The classes are an extra charge, but the gym is completely free. And the gym equipment, from free weights to exercise machines, they have pretty much everything there. I'm going to talk about food toward the end of this video, all at the same time, so I'll move on to the upper decks. Starting with the pool deck, there are 3 distinct pool areas on the ship. There's the main pool with all sorts of kiddie areas, splash areas, and hot tubs. This is the busiest of the pools and where you'll find the free ice cream. There are plenty of bars on each side of the main pool. There's also one of those big screens that cruise ships seem to be fading out that play the movies at night under the stars, which is really cool. There are no water slides on Anthem. I suspect there'll be some in a dry dock refit at some point, but there are presently no water slides. The second main pool area has an actual retractable roof. I know that Anthem does a lot of cruises beyond the Caribbean, so Alaska or northern cruises, if you like to sit by the pool. This is a heated pool in a temperature-controlled room with a retractable roof. I must say that swimming in a pool on an Alaskan cruise sounds like heaven. The third pool area is a place called the Solarium. I'll talk about the Solarium in a little bit. It's the adult-only section of the ship and is located at the very front of the ship. So those are the 3 main pool areas. In terms of the top deck, there are all sorts of other activities in the upstairs pool deck areas. One unique feature on Quantum-class ships is something called the North Star. The North Star is this essentially suspended glass ball that you go in with about 10 other people at a time, and it lifts you hundreds of feet above the water while the ship is cruising. It's absolutely awesome. I believe it's the highest you can be on any cruise ship in the world. The North Star is an upcharge of about $20 per person, but it's free for anybody to use when you're in a port. So if the ship is in a port, you can just go on it. You don't get the incredible ocean views when you're in the port, but it's still pretty worth it. If you do it while cruising, the views are nothing you've ever seen before. You'll get an entire side profile of the ship while it's actually cruising. So here are some photos that I took of our trip on the North Star. It was really bright, so you're getting a lot of reflection off the glass. But if you're not afraid of heights, this thing is brilliant. Not like anything I had done or seen before. The perspective of the ship while cruising hundreds of feet above the water was awesome. They will cancel it if the wind is above a certain number of knots. I think it was 12 to 15. There's a rock wall that most Royal Crips have these days, as well as 2 other really cool activities that you can do. There's just this endless stream of things to do on Anthem. One is called the Flow Rider, which is a surf simulator, and it's located on the back of the ship. The Flow Rider ejects water outward and upward while you stay balanced on a boogie board as the water pushes by at a very high speed. I'm not sure it's like surfing, but it's something worth a try. I've tried it before. It's pretty hard to stay on the board, but it's a ton of fun to try, and it's best of all included in your fare. There's no extra charge for the Flow Rider. You can reserve a spot in the app, but otherwise there's usually a pretty long line. There's another activity near the Flow Rider at the back of the ship, and it's called Ripcord. It's a skydiving simulator where you get into this vertical wind tunnel that moves air up the vertical column. The rushing air, moving at about 120 miles per hour, will keep you suspended in the air, giving you the sensation of skydiving. While we didn't do that on this trip, I've done this type of thing in the past around my home, and it's really cool. If you're new to doing this, the staff really do help you out quite a bit. They do need to put their hands on you, so you've got to be okay with that. There's another huge entertainment area on Anthem called the Seaplex. You could literally spend the entire week in the Seaplex if that suits you. It's another huge 2-story space that is filled with things to do. There are actual bumper cars. Yes, you can actually ride bumper cars on a cruise ship. There's a ping pong table, Xbox video games, pickleball, basketball, soccer, and all sorts of other stuff, mainly for kids and teens. There's also an arcade located off the side of the Seaplex that's a pretty limited and small arcade and does cost extra. I believe it's $1 a game in there. So back to the top of the cruise ship, every Quantum class cruise ship has a huge animal on the deck of each ship. On Anthem, it's a giant giraffe that you'll see here. It's a fun photo Instagram opportunity. Okay, let me talk about the solarium and then food on the ship, and then wrap this video up as it's getting a little long. The solarium is a gorgeous section of the top forward deck that on Anthem is completely enclosed. The solarium is absolutely beautiful. There are real trees and plants growing in there. There's a small pool and a number of hot tubs, as well as plenty of seating. The seats in the solarium will fill up. It does get pretty busy in there. The solarium has a glass ceiling. That and being on the top in front of the ship means that the solarium gets a lot of sun, natural sunlight during certain parts of the day. Some people do spend a large part of their vacation in the solarium. The area is adults only, which on this ship was defined as 18 plus when we were on it. Other ships, the solarium is 16 plus. Your kids can walk through the solarium just to check it out. They're just not allowed to stay in there. On Anthem, there are also what are called wing decks on each side of the solarium. It's basically the top of the bridge deck. Not a lot of people know that the wing decks exist, so it's an incredible place just to go out and sit with very nice views of the ocean while you're sailing with tons of sunlight. It's a little confusing to get to the wing decks, but you essentially go all the way forward in the solarium and go out each side at the very front. You'll just see a door go through the door. So let me talk about food. There are plenty of food options available on Anthem without spending another dime above your cruise fare. The most significant, of course, is the Windjammer buffet. Anthem's Windjammer is, in my view, better than Windjammers on other Royal ships. The Windjammer is open for breakfast, lunch, and dinner, and you can eat there the entire vacation just for the cost of your cruise fare.
Go right ahead.
The second big one for eating is, of course, the dining room. Anthem's dining room is actually a number of different dining rooms. There isn't one big multi-level room where everyone eats, as with many other cruise ships. Some people prefer that, some prefer the one big dining room, but that's the way it is on Anthem. Before your cruise, you'll be assigned one of the 3 dining rooms, and that will be your particular dining room for the entire cruise. The dining room is also open for breakfast, lunch, and dinner throughout the cruise, and like the Windjammer, you may have every meal in the dining room without adding a cent to your vacation cost. I do tip the dining room wait staff because I think they deserve it, but it's not necessary. The quality of the food in the dining room is slightly better than the Windjammer in my view, but the food quality in both venues are very good. A fact less known is that you're able to order as much food as you want in the dining room. You're offered an appetizer, a main course, and a dessert, but you're allowed to order as much as you want. You can order the entire menu if you want without batting an eye. You obviously shouldn't waste any food, but that's allowed and done. The menu in the dining room changes each night and typically has some type of theme like Caribbean food or French fare. The dining room does have some upsell options like a lobster tail or a chopped grilled filet mignon for additional money any night that you want to order one. Though on a week-long cruise, there will be one night where lobster is on the menu at no additional cost. Those two options alone can give you an incredible dining experience throughout your vacation without adding a cent to your bill, but aren't even close to the options available on Anthem that don't have additional cost to them. Other included options, and I may even miss some since there are so many, include the Promenade Cafe, Sorrento's Pizza, the 270 Cafe right outside of 270, the ice cream on the pool deck, the Solarium Buffet, and the Doghouse and the Seaplex, where you can get as many hot dogs as you wish. These are all additional places where there's no additional charge for any of the food, and the food is largely not duplicative. Each of these places have largely different options. Each have quality food and plenty of variety. But at the end of the vacation, I honestly dream of a time when I feel hungry again. There are so many food options on the ship. In terms of places to eat where there is an additional charge, which can range anywhere from $15 a meal all the way up to maybe $50 a meal, which are called specialty restaurants on Anthem. There is Azumi Japanese restaurants. There's Chops Grill, which is a Royal Caribbean staple. It's a really excellent steakhouse that's pretty similar to Roos Steakhouse, if you know Roos. There is Jimmy's Italian, which is genuine Italian food, and in my view, even better than Giovanni's. That is the Italian restaurant in other Royal Caribbean ships. There's Johnny Rockets, which is a traditional burger and shake place. Breakfast at Johnny Rockets is actually included in your cruise fare if you want to try something different for breakfast. There's also Wonderland Restaurant, which is kind of a spin-off of Alice in Wonderland, where the seats are bigger and the food is presented in a special way. There's also Chef's Table, which is a pretty broad cuisine with 5 courses and wine pairings. Finally, the Bass and Bach Pub in the Esplanade has a menu where the food costs extra as well. You really need to make reservations for most of these specialty restaurants the second you get on the ship. If you'd like to watch a video about how to get on the ship prior to your embarkation time, I'll include that link in the description. And if all of this isn't enough, there's also room service. Room service on Anthem is included in your cruise fare for just a $7 delivery fee, and then of course whatever you want to tip a server. You may also order any of the food from any of the specialty restaurants to your room, or as takeout if you would like, in case you can't get a reservation and just want to try something different. So that pretty much wraps it up with Anthem. I'm sure I missed plenty, but Anthem is a massive ship with tons and tons to do, tons of food, and tons of unique bars. I think Anthem gets overshadowed by the mega ships out there. It's really a huge ship itself. Anthem can hold over 4,000 passengers, but whether you're exploring ship choices or have an upcoming trip, Anthem of the Seas will not let you down. She's an incredible ship. If you like this content, please click the thumbs up. And also please subscribe to the channel if you'd like to see more content like this. Thank you so much for watching. If you'd like to know how to get on a Royal Caribbean ship before your scheduled embarkation time, check out this video next.